Daddy, why does everyone have a mom and I don't? 5-year-old Adele asked her father when he picked her up from daycare. Warren looked at his daughter. David called me an orphan today, and then the boys teased me all day. Warren stopped and sat down next to his daughter. You're not an orphan, dear. You have me. The man picked the girl up and gave her a hug. Warren felt a suffocating lump rise up in his throat. We'll be fine, honey. I promise. I love you. Meanwhile, memories took over his mind. Warren and Chris got married in their senior year of medical school. He became a gynecologist, and Chris chose ophthalmology. After graduation, Warren got a job at a public hospital, and Chris went to work at her friend's private clinic. They'd been friends with Amanda since their freshman year of medical school, and although they were very different, the young women were inseparable. Amanda came from a very wealthy family. Her father opened a clinic for her, which she got to manage on her own, and where she invited Chris to work. Warren and Chris relied only on themselves. There was no one to help them. When Adele was born, the family was having a hard time financially, since Chris couldn't work at the time. Amanda had repeatedly offered Warren a job at her clinic, but the man always refused. However, given the family situation after Adele's birth, and the fact that the income of doctors in a private clinic serving VIP clients was much higher, the man changed his mind. Well, friend, having a child clearly didn't make your life easier. You don't look so good. You clearly need to have a rest, Amanda concluded, having come to see her friend. She was always straightforward and never bothered to sugarcoat what she wanted to say. The last year wasn't easy for Chris. Warren spent a lot of time at work, trying to make sure they could pay all their bills, while all the childcare and housework fell on Chris's shoulders. Adele wasn't an easy child either. She didn't sleep well, so Chris was very tired all the time. I know a place we could go. There's wonderful nature, a forest, and great service too. You'll feel reborn after their spa treatments. I think we should go there for the weekend. But what about Adele? Who's going to take her? Chris objected. Warren can take care of Adele. I hope he's capable of dealing with his own daughter for a day. Amanda gave the man a sly look. I think we can hold the fort for a day, Warren replied, making it clear that he didn't mind his wife going away for the weekend. Despite having her husband's support, Chris still wasn't sure about it. For some reason, the woman felt uncomfortable going away. Honey, you should go. I can handle it. Trust me. When the time came, the two friends happily drove out of town. The next morning, the phone rang. It was Amanda. Warren, is Chris home by any chance? The man realized that something had happened to his wife. According to Amanda, Chris decided to take a walk in the morning. It was still very early, so Amanda refused to keep her company. Chris never returned from that walk. Numerous searches didn't yield any results. Chris was never found, neither alive or dead. The investigators had several theories: abduction, drowning in the deep river with a strong current, or that the woman simply ran away. Warren was sure that Chris couldn't have just abandoned them. He knew that even though it was hard for Chris, she adored her daughter, loved her husband, and was happy with their life together. After months of fruitless searching, Chris was reported missing and, later, dead. His daughter and Amanda helped Warren live through the grief and despair. He understood that he had to hold on because Adele had no one but him. Amanda was always there, supporting Warren and helping him in everything. A while later, they grew rather close. Amanda admitted that she always had a thing for Warren, but since he was her best friend's boyfriend and then husband, she never allowed herself to show her feelings. They saw each other a couple times a week. Amanda was waiting for the man to take the next step to propose to her, but he was clearly in no hurry to do so. When the woman hinted to him about getting married yet again, Warren expressed his worries about how Adele would react to it. She's only 5. She's still a child and shouldn't be the one to decide how to live your life. You exalt the importance of her opinion. Actually, I think you're spoiling her. I've long wanted to tell you. I know a great boarding school. Only kids from wealthy families attend it. We'll take her home for the weekends. It'll be easier on you. You won't have to feel torn between work, daycare, and home. Are you out of your mind? I won't send my daughter to a boarding school. No matter how good it is, I want to be close to her, to see her and hear her every day. After Amanda's suggestion, Warren realized that she wasn't the right woman for him. He definitely couldn't and didn't want to spend his life with her. Warren said that he wanted their relationship to be purely business. Amanda tried to make peace with Warren in every possible way, but he was adamant. He even started to think about changing jobs since Amanda was always on his case, and there was no way to avoid her. It was a regular day at work. After seeing his patients, Warren stayed behind to fill out some paperwork. The man heard some noise in the hallway and went out to see what was going on. There was a woman at the front desk. She didn't look exactly like the kind of patients they usually got at the clinic. "There's nothing we can do for you here. The free hospital is 2 blocks away. I have to ask you to leave, or I will have to call the police," the receptionist said to the woman in a rather loud and unfriendly tone. "I'm sorry, but I need to see Dr. Warren Leslie," the stranger insisted. "Please go away. Dr. Leslie won't be able to see you," the receptionist continued. Warren felt sorry for the woman, so he intervened. "I'm Warren Leslie. Come with me." He pointed the woman to his office, despite the indignant objections of the receptionist. Warren didn't see the patient's face, as she had a scarf on her head that covered half of it. "Please take a seat and tell me what's been bothering you," he turned to the woman. The strange patient removed her scarf. Seeing the woman's face, Warren froze. "Chris? Jesus, Chris, is that you? Thank God you're alive." Warren ran up to the woman and wanted to hug her, but she pulled away. "Yes, it's me. I was afraid that you'd pretend not to know me," the woman answered quietly. "What are you talking about? In all these years, not a day had passed that I haven't thought about you." "I know about you and Amanda." Warren looked into Chris's eyes and felt guilty. "Yes, but it happened after you disappeared and we're no longer together. But wait, are you accusing me of something? Or her? You left us. You left your daughter. Where have you been all these years?" "I didn't leave you. It was all Amanda's doing. She wanted to kill me, but I survived." Chris said that when they arrived at the spa, Amanda offered her a cocktail. When Chris woke up, she was already in the trunk of a car. It was dark outside. When the trunk opened, Chris could see Amanda's face. She said that I didn't deserve such happiness, that I would die and you'd be with her. Then she hit me on the head with something. I woke up in a ravine. My head was covered in blood. I didn't remember who I was or how I ended up there. The gamekeeper, Richard, found me. The old man moved to the forest, away from people, after the death of his wife and daughter. He nursed me back to health. At first, he wanted to call the police, but then he changed his mind. He took care of me like his own daughter and didn't want to let me go. Years later, I started having strange dreams. I screamed your name and called out for my daughter, Adele, but I never remembered anything in the morning. Richard realized that I was getting my memory back. And one day he couldn't stand it anymore and told me what he'd been hearing me scream. And then I remembered everything. Richard said that he wouldn't let me go alone, so he came with me. As soon as I saw you, I wanted to rush to you, but Richard said that I needed to be careful. We've been watching you. When I saw Amanda hugging and kissing you, I thought that you were in on our plan. But then I saw you with Adele near the daycare center and heard your conversation about her not having a mother, so I decided to come and talk to you. Now I understand that you didn't know anything. God, Chris, my poor Chris, how could you think that about me? Warren tried to hug his wife again, and this time, she hugged him back. At that moment, Amanda burst into the office screaming, "Dr. Leslie, what are you doing? Not only did you let some tramp into the office, but you also..." When she saw Chris, Amanda turned white. "You can't be..." Amanda's voice was trembling. "You're disappointed because you thought I was dead, right?" Chris shook her head. Amanda was out of her mind with rage. "You should have died! I knew where to hit!" She was literally hissing. She was about to leave the office, but Warren grabbed her hand. The man shoved Amanda sharply into the back of the office, and despite the cries of the staff, closed the door and called the police. "I have a surprise for you," Warren said as he picked up Adele from daycare. "Really? What is it?" "Darling, they found your mother." Her father's words made the girl stop smiling and look into his eyes. The man nodded at her, thus confirming his words, and then pointed her to where Chris was standing. The woman walked towards her daughter, her arms spread wide for a hug. "Are you my mother?" The girl's voice was trembling. "My dear, yes, I am your mother." Tears were flowing down Chris's face. She wanted to rush to her daughter with all her might, but she was afraid to scare the child. The family finally got back together, and it was a whole new beginning for them. Amanda went on trial, and Richard found the family, who now came to visit him every weekend. Now the old man had something to live for.